Good morning. This is Rachel with Infused Meadows. I apologize about the biscuit video, but I think I did say I make these a few times, sometimes a few times a week. It just depends. And so I thought, hey, why not go ahead and redo that? So to our bowl, I know I put the written recipe in the description box last time after I saw the screw up. I was quick to make sure that was there and told you all I was sorry. Let's go. 1 cup, or we're going to do 4 cups total of flour. And this is all purpose or plain. Not enough. 2. 3. 4. And then what I like to do is I like to go ahead and put roughly a half a cup back in here because we'll need that for dusting our worktop. Now I've already I've washed and wiped off my worktop. That was silly. I'll leave this open because you never know if you'll need more than the half a cup. You know, when it comes to anything that has to do with flour, temperature, weather, everything, it's kind of like candy making. It can definitely change the outcome, or in this case it could change the liquid that you need. Okay, so just know that. And that's why, you know, if you're making bread, for example, and somebody says, well, you'll need 3 cups of flour, I always start with, so what I do is I start with 2 cups and then I set 1 cup aside. And then what I'll do is I'll slowly incorporate that last cup, because sometimes you won't need that full last cup. And then there's times, depending on the weather and the moisture in your home or the humidity, you may need more than that extra, you know, that 3rd cup total. So always keep that in mind when dealing with flour. Okay. All right. We're now going to go in with 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. One tablespoon. This I can close. I will not use it again. Now, for some of you Southerners, you were probably raised on, you know, 1 or 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Feel free. You can do this as well, the powdered sugar. If you just try it. I think you'll be surprised. We need baking powder, baking soda, and salt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my half teaspoon. So I like to do 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So that's 3. That gives me my 1.5. Oops. I'm going to go in with, where is it? 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Sorry, no. Baking soda. I apologize for that. Baking soda. 1 teaspoon baking soda. We're going to do 5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just raked mine across the jar in case you didn't see what I was doing. It doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, does it? Okay. I forgot my whisk. Hang on. It's always something. So you want to just whisk this to combine. Very, very good. You don't want to find lumps and clumps of your salt or your baking soda that's just sat at the bottom and didn't get good and mixed in. So make sure that you whisk this really, really well. Okay. Don't need the whisk anymore. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this just so I can move to the baking station, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're at my baking station. I like to use this for any bread related, or if I need to roll out like dog treats, or if I'm to cut those to bake them, or if I'm rolling out anything, any kind of, potato candy, for example, has to be rolled out. So because I have more workspace here, you can see that I keep my Instant Pot in here and my other blender. That's my Ninja. It comes with the food processor and the regular blender. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take a spoon. And I'm going to get just a little bit of this lard on my hands. Clean hands as always. And I've already taken my ring off. And you want to make sure that you grease your pan. Like, this is my smaller cast iron. My husband's at work, so I won't be making 4 biscuits today. I'll only be making 2. Now you can, you don't have to use lard. You can use butter if you prefer. I wouldn't, especially in cast iron. But, you know, you grease the bottom of your pan with whatever you want. But if your biscuits come out burnt because you use butter, it's not my fault. I would use lard or tallow. That's just my preference. So, we are good and coated. Trying to work in that last little clump. Because, you know, it's a cast iron. And this is not going to change our biscuits. Okay, so I'm going to set that right there. I'm going to go grab a paper towel because I forgot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, so usually, depending on the spoon that you buy, these large ones are normally the exact equivalent of a tablespoon, okay? And I didn't bring in a tablespoon because I just used it for my powdered sugar. So I'm going to drop in 1, 2. It's not quite a full tablespoon, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was a little one. 8. So I'll do another little one. You want about a 1/2 cup of lard for your 4 cups of flour. Okay. All right. Set that down. And then hang on. I'm going to put this up and we'll be right back. Okay. So I've got that in. Put my lard up. You want to go in with, well, I use a pastry cutter. You don't have to. So if you don't have one, don't go out and get one. Just use yourself 2 forks going back and forth, you know, kind of like the same way you're shredding your chicken. Or you can just go in with your fingers. Up to you. Just make sure your hands are clean, obviously. I'm sorry that has to be said. We are going to cut this lard into our flour. Now, this is not a 2-second job, as you've seen in the other video. This was the part that actually did record, which was kind of funny. I thought I had been recording the whole time, and it turns out that my camera had just randomly started recording. So when I thought I was hitting go, I was actually hitting pause. So how it worked itself out when I got in here, I don't know, because I didn't catch it. Actually, I did. Right before I came in here, I noticed it was recording, and I was like, ah. So I think I even said in the video, I'm so sorry. I have no idea, you know, how long you had dead air that I saw that it was recording. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it sooner than that. So we're redoing these so that you can see from when I put everything in the bowl, what all went into the bowl. Because I know some people don't, you know, you just don't like clicking on links, and I completely get that. So, because, you know, the recipe is always, not always. When I first started doing all this, I didn't include the recipe because I was like, well, I mean, you watch the video, I tell you what to put in it. So if there's a recipe that isn't, you know, in a link that you want, I can always go back and write that out for you. So that's my buttermilk. I think I've told you that before, but just in case there's somebody new watching that's like, well, what is that? Buttermilk. I haven't poured it yet. Oh, I do have my oven heating. So 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. Now your biscuits are going to take 13 to 15 minutes. I think last time mine took 14. When you've baked enough, you can usually go off the smell, you know, because you know what it smells like when it's done, whether that's your cookies, your bread, banana bread, you know, cakes, muffins, it doesn't matter. You just kind of learn. So right now I'm looking for any big pieces that I may have missed. I'm not seeing any. No, okay. But always make sure you don't have any really big clumps. That's my oven preheated. And I have 2 trays out, so I'm going to be baking those. These I'm going to freeze. I think I told you all this last time. I freeze them so that way when I want them, I can pull them out and bake them. All right. I'm sorry, let me go put this up, be right back. Okay, so what I like to do is pour myself 1 3/4 cups of buttermilk. You may need it, you may not. So if you don't, you don't. If you do, then at least you've already got it poured. And how lucky is that? That finishes that one off. I already have another one though. So many recipes need buttermilk. Okay. I have my cutter ready. I have my extra flour ready. I've got my bench scraper ready. Sometimes you need it. You miss a pocket of flour. And this time I'm going to be using this. Unfortunately, my favorite spatula for doing this broke. And I do not know how, but it did. So it is what it is. Alright, we're going to go in with our buttermilk. And I'm going to leave 1/4 cup. If I need to add a little, I will. And all I'm looking for is if my dough is looking too dry, I will add just a little bit more to this. It's actually snowing where I'm at. Started sometime overnight. So as of right now, there's like a nice little light dusting outside. But, you know. Temperature and weather can play with your dough, like I said earlier. So as you see, I'm not aggressively stirring. What I am doing though is taking this underneath and pulling up because I do still have a lot of flour down there. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of my buttermilk. Not a lot, you saw. About a tablespoon. Which I didn't have to do last time, but this time's looking like I will because there's another huge pocket of flour. Okay, I can get the rest of that together with my hands. So, yeah, you can see. I think so. We're going to go in with our flour. I'm not going to tell you to lightly dust because anytime I lightly dust, I always end up needing a lot more. Because your dough is still going to be somewhat wet, okay? If you get it so dry that it doesn't stick, there's a good chance that you needed more liquid, if I'm honest. So, let's get this out. Alright, we don't need this bowl anymore. One second, I'll set this back here. Okay, what we want to do is we're going to sprinkle some flour on top. And you may need more. So that's why I brought my flour in here. You may not see it, but it's just right there. Right there. So, if I need more, actually I'll just go ahead just in case. Better to have too much than not enough. Alright. Press. And then I like to start folding. This is to create layers. For those that are curious, we want layers in our biscuits. You do as many layers as you like. Mine changes from one round of biscuits to another. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day, I guess. Okay. You want to press this out. I don't recommend a rolling pin. I just don't. You get your dough a little too tight that way, and then you're not going to get the best rise out of it. I normally try to go to about a 1/2 inch thick. Now sometimes I end up with closer to 1 inch. Sometimes you just miss a spot, you know? "17 minutes. Okay. That's how you cut your biscuits. I'm going to pause this, get these all cut and put on. That way I can show you the biscuits when I pull them out of the oven. We'll be back. Alright, so my timer just went off. I'm going to go ahead and turn my oven off. I'm going to pull these out. Now, the reason they'll slide over is because I didn't squish them together. I shouldn't have left space, but here we are. You can see, I'm not touching that, it's hot, the rise that they would have had. So when you do a whole bunch of biscuits together, you know, you want them touching. When you go to cut your biscuits, don't twist, okay? If you twist, you do tend to seal those layers in. Anyway, I'm going to rub some butter on these, and then I'll bring you back in about 5 minutes after they've just cooled enough to where I can pull them open. So we'll be back. Okay, so I actually only waited about 3 minutes. Nice bottom. Very hot. And like I told you before, all you got to do is throw yourself some butter on there, or maybe some egg, bacon, egg and cheese. Same thing, nice bottom. Yeah, you put on these whatever you like. If you're a restaurant person, you might like the bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage and egg, sausage, egg, and cheese, bacon, or just plain, or with jelly, butter and jelly. You eat these how you want to, but I hope that you do make them. I hope you like them. If not, love them. Or love them, if not like them. Yeah, and if you don't, hey, I really hope that you find that recipe that's out there for you. And as always, you have yourself a very, very wonderful day.